Welcome to The Conversation with Corinthus Alston. Brought to you by CKJ Live, bringing you real-life topics and real-life stories, discussing subjects that matter to you. This is your invitation to listen, laugh, love, loathe, and link up. That's right. Tell us what's on your mind. Now let's get to the conversation.
Welcome, and welcome to The Conversation. Without the conversation, we can't have the understanding. The next couple of episodes, we're going to focus on education. Education today, education for tomorrow, and the future. One of the things we're going to look at today is how do you afford a college education for your child? Well, we have a special guest, Dr. Nayshon Mosley. She has over 20 years experience as a champion of educational opportunities for youth and adults. A public speaker, mentor, advocate, and author, a native of Chicago, Dr. Nay has earned a bachelor's degree in psychology, a master's degree in inner city studies, as well as a doctorate degree in educational leadership. Well, let's get to the conversation. Hey, Dr. Nay, what's going on?
I am wonderful. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. I'm excited about this conversation. I have been geared up. One of the things that I'm noticing, I mentor a lot of youth, and I mentor people who are coming into the job market. And one of the things that I'm finding out is that no one really had a conversation about education in general.
Yeah.
So they're coming in and they have no clue. No clue at all. And I wanted to talk to you about that. I sort of kind of have this thing regarding there's aspirations, there's dreams, and then there's the reality.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
and what I mean by that from the aspirational perspective, we put a lot of pressure on our children to go to school. Mm-hmm. You go to school, you go to college, you get the good job. Yeah. Then there's the dream where actually the student actually gets excited about wanting to go to college. Yeah. And they're like, well, I'm going to apply for this. And here's my goal, Harvard University. Mm-hmm. And then there's reality. Mm-hmm. The reality is that, okay, a 4-year degree from Harvard, if you just had to pay it, it's about $200,000 or $300,000. So what I want to know is that from you, how do you engage them? How do you have that conversation?
Right. So in running education opportunity programs is something I've been doing for a long time. Mm-hmm. And that is exactly the challenge. You get students at varied levels of experience. Many of the students I work with are low income and first generation, which means neither one of their parents have a 4-year degree. And most times no one in their family, they're the first in their family to go to college. So they don't have that home, the big brother or big sister at home that went to college before them. So there's no one to coach them through the process, which is where our programs mm-hmm. come into play at. And so I get them coming into coming out of 8th grade, going into high school, taking them through a 6-week summer program to kind of do some enrichment programming with them so that they're a little bit more prepared in high school. And then they also take Saturday classes on Saturdays as well. So a large part of our conversation is getting them ready. Many of them, you can't see yourself on a college campus if you've never been on a college campus. Okay. So our programs specifically, are located on a 4-year college campus. So the students are getting that exposure to the college campus. But then there are some workshops that we're doing with them. There's Saturday classes that we're doing. So there are some instructional things that we're doing in addition to exposing them on college tours, having conversations around financial aid, bringing in the families, having parental workshops for those students. But again, back to your points of those aspirations, many of them come in, part of the prerequisite for being in our program is that I have a desire to go to college. So now that you have this desire, you've expressed this desire to go to college, now how do I help you? You got this dream. You got an idea of what you got.
An idea. Okay.
Right? I think I want to major in something, and I think I want to major here. Many of them, the first time they hit an HBCU campus, they want to go to the HBCU. That may not be their reality, right? Mm-hmm. Whether it's financially, whether it's academically, whether it's the distance. Many of them can't really be 13 hours away from home in the deep South. And many of them are from the city. So it definitely is not a realistic picture of them being in the cornfields, calling themselves being educated. So what we do in our program is we really, over a 4-year period for our high school students, we really, really take the time. And I was one of those students. I was a product of the very programs that I run now.
Mm-hmm.
So, we take those students from a place of, I want to go to college, not really sure how to get there. We put them in positions where they're qualifying themselves to go to college, and they're having experiences visiting college campuses. And so now they can see themselves there, to the reality of, okay, I'm going to college, but what does that look like for me? Because it may look different for Sally Sue than it does for me.
So do you help them in the selection process? Because to me, there's this whole thing, okay, I want to go to college, but then there's the whole thing of, this is the college I want to go to. Do you, I call it the dream, right? It's the dream. UCLA, Morehouse, those are the things you hear about, I want to go to Clark, Atlanta. But do you sort of kind of help them shape that to really understand what does that mean?
Yeah.
Here's the dream. Yes, you got the aspirations, but here's the dream. But do you sort of kind of help them walk that through the process?
Yeah, we definitely do. We do a lot of, because our students are inexperienced, and the families are inexperienced, we do a lot of hand holding through that process, and it looks different for every student that we serve.
Okay.
And, so while you may have some students that can go to a Clark Atlanta, some students may then go to an NIU, a Northern Illinois University, just based upon a number of factors: family situation, income status, the reality of grades, academics. A lot of those things play into it. So we really do help them shape their goals and dreams and make them realistic, but it's individualized. It's very individualized. And so we really do it based upon the student's individual circumstances, academically, fiscally, family situation. So a lot of different factors we do that. And we really try to not necessarily discourage them. We definitely don't discourage them, but we really help them fine tune that thought process. So really around junior and senior years, when we really start having those deep conversations, test scores, all of those things.
Okay. So here's the thing. I got to go there.
Sure.
How do you pay for it?
Because
to me, there's that conversation that you have, and I remember where back in the day, mom and dad had to mortgage the house, or mom and dad had to get a sign on the loan. I mean, how do you have that? And I know you say you're mentoring them, but eventually the reality comes in that they get accepted to 10 schools. They're excited. You're excited for them. Now it's saying, okay, the reality is, what can you realistically afford? And that college is, to us, we understand that the end goal is getting a degree. But when you're that junior or senior, you had your mind set on Harvard, Stanford, Clark, how do you reconcile that?
So and I can speak on two ends, one from the professional side, but two as a parent of a high school senior right now.
Okay.
So my daughter and I are having financial aid conversations as we speak. We're talking realistically about when you add the checking and the savings and the other checking account up.
All right. No, keep it real.
What's on this paper? You know what I mean? Like, that's the reality. So, I work with low-income first-generation students. Myself, I'm not a low-income first-generation student because I went through the program. Now, my daughter's not considered low-income and first-generation.
Okay.
So that means that I'm considered a middle-income household. Well, either you, as my mother used to say, you too rich to be poor, or you too poor to be rich.
There
so
you go.
You might be able to afford to drop $20,000 a year on a college, or you may not be able to afford to drop $20,000 on a year, which makes you qualify for more financial aid. But then you have households like mine that you don't qualify for anything. And so if you have not saved and you don't have a savings or a college fund or, any type of 529 plan for saving for college for your students, then you're short. So to be very transparent, in my household, we're looking at gaps in financial aid anywhere from $11,000 to $30,000 that I'm expected to pay out of pocket.
Yeah. No, that's real.
Loans, that's all you get. If she hasn't gotten scholarships, if there's no scholarships to accompany that, and this is after scholarships. These are after the great student. So this is after the merit aid has been applied. So I'm having these same conversations with the families that we're counseling around, let's be realistic. And many people get it twisted. Many people assume that because the school costs more, then you can't afford to go there. A lot of times what our students don't understand, and what we're finding in my household, because my daughter was bent on going to an HBCU for a while. And then we visited, took some students, her and some girls from church, on a college tour, and it was an HBCU experience, and she had her school, we had the interview there. And as you unfold, that senior year unfold, and you get those test scores back, and or you start getting the responses or lack of responses, or being rubbed the wrong way by institutions, things shift for you. And so many of our students are now finding that the reality of it is, my daughter could, if she could have got into Princeton would have gave her probably a full ride. People don't understand that schools, WIs, which are predominantly white institutions. So you have HBCUs, historically Black colleges and universities, PWIs, which are predominantly white institutions, which they have money, they have large endowments. You have selective schools like Harvard, Princeton, those schools. You have PBIs, which are predominantly Black institutions, like where I work at Chicago State University, and then MSIs, which are minority serving institutions. A lot of them may serve Blacks, Latinos. So there's a lot.
See, I had no idea. Now, I did know of the PWIs. I knew that because the only reason why I had someone at work who had that experience. His son got accepted to Harvard. They make $60,000 a year, but he really wanted to go. She called and found out there was a program that if you make, I think, under like 92,000 or something like that, and that if you qualify and he meets the requirements and he meets the interview, it's a full ride.
It is, like, literally. And that's what people don't understand, is that those types of institutions, because they have large endowments, they have a lot of people donating, their alumni databases are a lot different than what those HBCU funds have coming in. They can afford to pay $40,000 for a student, out of pocket, to come there. So they can afford to bring students there and keep them there. I had an opportunity to visit through my education opportunity program, had an opportunity to visit Princeton in 2017.
Okay.
Princeton hosted the very first Upward Bound program, which are the programs I run now for first generation students. Back in the 60s, they ran the first pilot program in 1964 on their campus because they believed in supporting low income first generation students and providing them that educational opportunity to attend their institution. So many people don't understand that schools like Princeton want students to come there as long as they meet the qualifications, and they don't believe in just getting you on their campus. They believe that once you get there should be no barrier on you finishing. However, I got schools right here in the state of Illinois that only offered my daughter loans, or certain HBCUs that only offered her loans. My daughter has a 4.3 or 4 GPA right now. She didn't score super high on her test scores, but she has an amazing GPA. She took a full IB curriculum, which are 7 college level courses over the past 2 academic years. So there are a lot of things that would have made her qualify to go to certain schools, but it's the finances. So a lot of the PWIs, the Cornells, and those schools like that, they can afford to bring our students there and keep them there. And they're willing to give more in aid. But other schools like state schools or those smaller campuses, HBCUs, they don't have the money to give our students. And so our students are having to, 1, either flee the state of Illinois, or 2, they're having to go to those PWI schools because they're giving them money to come there. So those are the conversations I'm having with my students around. Don't knock it because it's white. Don't knock it because it's in certain areas. Now we have conversations around fit. Now that's the reality, because I work with students that all the time will get to school. Now we didn't have the conversations around how you pick a roommate, how you treat a roommate, how to make sure your financial aid is covered, how to make sure this, but they get there and it's not a fit. And so in December, when they're home for Christmas break, they're calling me, Dr. Mosley, can you help me transfer, Dr. Mosley? And so I've gotten those conversations because they either never visited the campus, they blindly went there, they made the decision without talking to the parent, and the parent said, okay, go, as long as you go to school. And then you get there and it's like, I did not know I was going to be in the boondocks and I had to have a car to get to the local Walmart.
That is true.
Yeah, so we have conversations around fit as well, making sure that overall that, not only are you qualified to go there, but it's a good fit for you based upon your personality, your background,
Do you provide consulting services?
I do. I
Okay.
definitely provide consulting services.
Okay, yeah, around this whole process
Yep.
or part of it, or it doesn't matter where you're at.
It doesn't matter where you are. I've been doing this for a long time, and now being in the thick of it as a parent, I feel even more qualified. But I actually have those services up on my website. And so we can share that at the end, but I have things around, high school student resumes, not realizing that those resumes can help you stand out compared to a regular student application. So I help students take even if they don't have work experience, I help them take their student experience and their leadership experiences. So I create leadership resumes for high school students as well. Resumes, financial aid, having families complete the free application for federal student aid, which we know as the FAFSA, or some folks say the FAFSA.
Yeah, the FAFSA. Yep, that's it.
So we complete the FAFSA application, as well as we assist students with completing college applications online. Everything is online now. Many people don't know about, and you may not know, but there is what's called there's the Common App, which is basically you can, as long as the college across the country has connected with, or they are part of this database. Whereas if I go on to complete this one application, I can submit it to however many schools I can submit it.
Oh, wow. I did not know that. I didn't know
that. So outside of just the Common App, then you have what's called the Black Common App. So that is allowing students to do a similar process, but applying to multiple HBCUs at once. And you don't even just have to apply to it. Say, for instance, certain criteria match up with what I'm looking for in my institution. I can then click and look at your credentials as a high school student. So you may get, like in my daughter's case, she got a full ride from Arkansas Baptist College. She never applied to Arkansas Baptist College. Probably not going to go there because we don't know where Arkansas Baptist College is. But at the end of the day, because she met criteria that they were looking for on students that they were trying to bring to their campus, they were able to offer her an admission as well as a full ride. So, so when you hear students now saying that, or you hear parents boasting about, my baby got accepted to 52 schools and that's reality because they've applied through this Common App. They didn't submit.
Because I've seen that. See, and I'm like, wait a minute. I know that student. Yeah. Okay, 52. Okay. No, I did not know there was this Common App. Actually, for both. I didn't know it was a Common App for there or for HBCUs at all.
Yeah.
I had no idea. So if you had to, what would you want parents to take away from this? Wow. I mean, if you were talking to a parent you never met, mm-hmm. and they were listening to the podcast, what would you want them to take away?
I would definitely encourage parents, one, to know that you're not alone. Like, you're not the first, your baby's not the first, and your baby won't be the last. They may be the first in your family, but you're not alone, and there are resources like me and like the services that I provide that are here to help you and mm-hmm. walk you through this process, so that you're making an educated and well-informed decision. I would say, as much as we want our young people to grow up, don't let them make these decisions blindly. And really, really, if you don't know, don't be afraid to reach out and get help to help your young people through this process. And don't assume that because a school costs so much that you can't afford to go there, because they may be able to offer you more than a school that costs. So a $70,000 school may offer you $55,000 in aid, whereas a $20,000 school may only offer you $5,000 in aid.
See, you know what I'm saying? I wouldn't even have thought that.
Yeah. It's all about where the gap is. Like I said, I have some schools that we have $11,000 in gap and $30,000 in gap, so it's all about the gap. People look at the bottom line mm-hmm. and look at what they have left. But if you only have $3,000 left, but they offered you $23,000 in a Parent Plus loan that you got to take out, and then offered your baby $5,500 in federal loans that they have to take out in their name, you're not really winning. You know what I mean? Yeah. Now, if you're getting scholarships and you don't really even have to utilize the loans, then you might be winning a little bit better.
Yeah. So, yeah. Okay.
I definitely don't want them walking out here blindly. I'll help you.
So how can they contact you? I mean, do you have a phone number? Do you have a website? I will include this in I'll actually include this in the podcast as well,
Sure.
and dispense that information. But
Sure.
let us know, how can people get in contact with you?
Sure. So you can reach me. My website is Truthfully Speaking with Dr. Dr. Nay. So Truthfully Speaking with Dr. Nay.net. And or you can look me up on Facebook, Instagram. Is everything is Dr. Nay. DOCOR spelled out, Dr. Nay. But you can also have a website if you're interested in signing up for services. You can go to gumroad.com/Dr. Nayshon, DRNAYSHON. So gumroad.com/Dr. Nayshon, that's NAYSHON.
All right. Well, thank you, Dr. Nayshon, and we will definitely have you back.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Because I know everyone needs to hear this over and over and over. And the thing is that this is not something that you need to hear today.
Yeah.
You know, this is something that if you have a high school student getting ready to go to high school, they need to hear this. If they're a sophomore, if they're a junior, if they're a senior, or you know what, they graduated, but they want to go back to school.
Yeah.
So this is a conversation that I know that we're definitely going to have you back on the show. And again, thank you. And
thank you. I'll add too. So if you do have people that reach out and they're that last category that you mentioned about having students that maybe dropped out or stopped out, another program I run is for adults that are at least 19 years of age and older, even 18 years of age, that maybe went to school for a semester, dropped out, trying to figure out what to do, how to get off mama couch. That's who I really help. I'll help almost 1,200 of those adults every year, including those people that are returning from the Illinois Department of Corrections. So anybody basically that's interested in going to college, I got a program for them. I can help them, and our services are free on that end. So. Okay.
See, now we got to have you back.
Yeah,
because that's a whole nother show.
Some things are free. So yeah, I appreciate the opportunity to share and enlighten families, and I'm definitely open to coming back whenever you guys need me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for being a part of the conversation with Corinthus Alston. Brought to you by CKJ Live. Come back and visit us again to hear more real-life topics and stories that matter to you. And remember, without the conversation, we can't have the understanding.